Hello, I'm Helen from Journal with Purpose and welcome to my latest video. This is going to be my second in the series of 10-minute journal pages. And again, I'm going to be working in my dotted flex book. And as I mentioned in the last video, this 10 minutes is based on putting the creative elements together, because I always feel that once the creative elements are done, it's really easy and inviting to write in. I'm also going to share what I'm going to be writing about in my journal pages. The first thing I want to do is create some masked areas in my journal. I've got a dotted pad here. This is a Rhodia pad. And I'm going to use this for my masked areas. So I'm going to start off by cutting this one in half and use that as my masked area for that side. And this is a really lovely technique to play with, and you can use it in quite a few different ways. So if you decide to create some little masked elements as well, I'd recommend holding on to them. I often have a little envelope full of masking sheets. So I want to attach this one to my left-hand page. I've got some skinny washi tape here, and in fact it's slightly thicker than some of the other washes I'm used to. I couldn't actually tear that one, but I'm going to kind of fold it over and pop it there, so it acts a little bit like double-sided tape, but we want something that's going to be easy to remove afterwards. So I've got those two there, and I just want to get this somewhat central on my page. I'm not going to be measuring it, I just want to get it so that it's more or less there, and then just press that down flat over the two pieces of tape. And this half that I've got left, I'm going to fold in half again, and then cut that in half and attach both of those. So what I'm going to be creating is 3 writing spots. So I'm just looking at where I want those placed. So I think that will look nice. And again, just going to do the same with little bits of tape. I really appreciated all of your kind words on the last video. I'm so pleased you enjoyed it. I've got quite a few different ideas that I've jotted down, and I'm really looking forward to sharing with you. So I often think just getting those creative elements down can be that little stumbling block, and not that I think the creative elements are essential for journaling at all. It's just the way that I like to do things. Sometimes I will just put some stickers down or images from pet tape or a magazine cutout or something like that and just write. But for me, that blank page otherwise always feels like quite a lot to fill it up with writing. But with this, because there'll be 3 writing spots, I don't think they'll probably take too long to fill out, and hopefully they'll be something that you're really looking forward to adding your writing to. So I'm just going to place that one down there, and then that one up here. So the next thing I want to do is add some stenciling around both of those masked areas. So I'm just going to pop a couple of protective sheets under those. And I'm going to be using the Distress Oxides in Shaded Lilac and Bundled Sage. And the stencil that I'm going to be using is Floral Daydream, which is a stencil that I designed for Creative Expressions a few years ago. So I'm going to simply pop that over the top. It's not quite big enough to fill the whole page, but I'm fine with that as long as it goes over all of the masked areas. So I've got my ink blending tool with the blue pad on. I have a little tub with all of these pads, and I try and match the right one to the right ink pad. So I'm just moving my blending tool in a circular motion and aiming to obviously get that all the way around the page, and I'm just taking it up over the edge of the little masked sheet there, because what we want to create is some nice little borders. So I'm now going to swap over to my bundled sage. And I'm going to bring that down the side a little bit. And then finish off with my blue again. But you could use obviously any colours that you feel drawn to. And I often think it's quite nice if you can do some colours which perhaps tie in with the seasons. So once we get to autumn, I've no doubt I'll be using lots of oranges and browns. So I'm just going to quickly take a look whilst holding the stencil in place to make sure that I've got ink everywhere I would want it. The only place I can see I've missed is just up here. Okay, so I'm happy with that, and I'm going to do exactly the same on this side. I just think I'll probably start with the green at the top and the bottom this time, and add the blue in the middle just for a little bit of variation. And I will call these, or in my head, they're the 10 minutes-ish pages. Sometimes they'll take a little bit less, sometimes a little bit more, but it's that kind of 10 minutes that I'm aiming for. Because I feel 10 minutes a day, I can usually find a little bit of time for that. So here, because I've got the gap between the two pieces of paper, I'm bringing that green ink in kind of halfway across the page there. And then I'm going to use the blue for the other half. And just start bringing that down the page and around the bottom. Okay, just about there. So again, I'm just going to carefully lift that stencil up, check that I've got ink everywhere that I would want it. Okay, that's looking good. So now I'm going to carefully remove these sheets. And if you wanted, you could definitely just leave your pages at this point and write in them. But I'm just going to share a few additional things that I'm going to do. So I thought it would be nice to try and add a few extra decorative elements. So I've got some London Gifties pet tape here. So I just want to start lining them up and see how they would look. And I'll leave links to everything I've used down below, but as always, I'd always recommend you kind of just use whatever you have. So for now, I'm just really playing around with where I think they would look good. And these are the Kiss cut tapes, so you peel the images kind of straight off the backing and they're pre-cut. And I just really like the way that kind of breaks up the edge of the masked area a little bit. And this one I'm going to have it slightly going over the edge of the page there because I don't want it to take up too much of the writing spot. So I'm just going to trim that little bit off. The final thing that I'm going to do before I add my journal writing and my headings is just add a little dashed border. So again, this is entirely optional. I just like the way it looks. So I'm just going up to the edge of where my kind of stenciling is and taking it up to where my sticker is. I'm using a black Moody gel pen, which is one of kind of my favourite go-to pens. I use it for writing out my task lists in my Hobonichi. I find that the ink dries quite quickly, so it doesn't smudge. But for then larger pieces of journal writing, I will often use a fountain pen. So I just like the way that that kind of defines that edge of the border where the stamping was, particularly if you've got little gaps in your stencil. So there's not always ink right up across, kind of all the way around your masked writing area. If you're on Instagram and you share your journal pages, I'd absolutely love to see them. I'm Journal with Purpose over there. I did see some of the creations last week, thank you, that people had followed along with, and absolutely love seeing those. So do please share them with me and tag me in your post over there. And as always, I'd love to hear your thoughts and your feedbacks in the comment section below the video. I've already got quite a long list of things that I'd like to share, but if there's particular mediums that you'd like me to show in use, how I might use them quickly in my journal pages, please do just let me know. I'm going to try and cover as many as possible, so perhaps some with acrylic paint, some more with watercolour, some with brush pens. So hopefully I'll get a kind of good variation in those. So the last thing I was going to talk about quickly is the headings I'm going to put on mine. So I'm using a Tombow Fudenosuke brush pen with a firm nib, and I'm going to write grateful for, proud of and looking forward to. But you could add any headings you want. You could have things like currently reading, watching, listening to, favourite meals, favourite things about the season, absolutely any topics you like, or this could be your weekly review in your journal. So I'm just going to pop those on now. So that's my headings now added, and I'm going to add my journal writing and include a photo right at the end so that you can see what they look like when they're complete. I really hope you enjoyed this video. As always, I want to say a massive thank you to everybody who's joined me over on Patreon. Well, thank you so much for watching. I hope you're doing really well, and I look forward to speaking with you really soon in my next video. Together would light the fire.